Well, I want a dog named Beverly. I don't care if it's a girl or a boy. I just want the name to be Beverly and call it Bevy for short or Bev.
Would that not work with any other pet? Could you not get like a fish named Bevy or something,
Nope, it's got to be a dog named Beverly.
or a ferret?
Hell to the no, because ferrets are rodents.
Why Beverly?
I just like the name and call him or her Bevy or Bev. Yes.
Oh, so it's got to have like a full name and then like a nickname.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny because he has a full name too. We
Oh,
just
what's
call
his
him
full name?
Bucifer.
Wow.
So he's the worst cat.
That's not even a lie. It started out as Boo because he looks like a Halloween decoration.
He does.
And then his attitude and poor behavior gave him the name Bucifer.
He does. Kelly, did you see Boo?
Mm-mm.
No.
What did you see? Boo 2? Medea?
No. I do not see Boo 2 either.
It was actually a really funny movie, believe it or not. I saw it just kind of like by happenstance.
I highly doubt that.
I haven't seen Boo or Boo 2. Medea.
I'm telling you, man, it's pretty funny. I had no intentions on watching it, and I just happened to watch it. And it wasn't even high.
But you're a film guy. You don't watch Medea. Isn't Tyler Perry? Isn't one of your films you must see?
In film school, a Tyler Perry film would get ripped apart because
it would.
He doesn't necessarily go by just say filmmaking technique standards type of, for lack of a better term. So no, I watch
free balls it.
I watch him strictly out of, for one, I mean, growing up in Atlanta, going to New Beginning, he went to New Beginning, you know what I'm saying? I mean, so I kind of grew up. Say it again?
I don't think I knew he went to New Beginning.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah, he went for a minute. This was when he was like at the height of his plays, but he hadn't did the movies yet.
Okay.
But either way, so I kind of grew up on his plays or whatever. So anything I watch is kind of just because I know him and I've definitely enjoyed things before. I'm not gonna say like I hate Tyler Perry's work, but I do not watch it in the sense of like the film, I guess, buff type stuff.
Got it.
Yeah. Anyways.
Or a guilty pleasure.
I don't. Okay. All right. Terry, do you know this time?
What's the word?
What's the word?
Oh, it's spectacularous.
Wow. So disappointing. Go ahead, Janessa.
Boom shakalaka.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to The Trap, the podcast where we do rap. No, I'm just kidding. Remember when I said that I wasn't high when I was watching Boo 2?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not the case now.
Smoking them tweeds.
Welcome back, tweeds. Jesus Christ. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Worst Ones podcast. My name is Rudy Wilson. We have Janessa, Rowland, Kellie Lee, Terry Wayne. We are all preachers' kids. If this is your first time listening and or watching, welcome. This is a show like no other because there's probably no other preachers' kids willing to do this to their parents. All right, so while we are here, let's get to know the crew. Janessa, Rowland, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, other than being stressed with work.
There you go.
I do have a fatality to report, guys, and I don't have the picture, but one of my beloved watermelon came home today. Was cracked open, y'all. Cracked open. And that sometimes does happen. It happened last year to one of mine, but it's so heartbreaking because you put in all that work and then just like
Damn shame.
So yeah,
some of them that grow on one vine, right?
No. So sometimes they can kind of spew out. One plant can spew out 3, 4, 5 vines.
Okay.
And but what I was told to do is to cut your vines. So the plant gives all the energy to one fruit versus multiple ones, because then you might, it might not grow the full term or whatever. But yeah, guys, I was a little sad when I came home and saw it just.
So that was
you live and learn.
So wait a minute.
That was the only watermelon you had?
No, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 right now.
Okay.
So I had 7. Now I have 6.
So wait a minute. You're saying you trim the vines to make sure that not too many grow, like Planned Parenthood. That's what you're.
Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Plant. What's the word? Is it botany? I don't know. What's the science? I don't know.
Yeah.
Plant scientist.
It's what is it? Agricultural.
Yeah. That. But yeah.
Well, you live and you learn, Janessa. It's okay.
I know. I was so attached to it.
I just wanted to say that Planned Parenthood line.
Well, Terry Wayne, since you're already on the roll, how are you, sir?
Parenthood. I like
doing
it.
Well. I went out and we had dinner earlier, and I think I found the best pizza in Palm Beach County.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What kind of pizza?
Well, the one that I had was carne supra, which is prosciutto and salami and these little sweet cherry peppers, but I just mean the pizza in general it's so good.
What makes it so good?
It's brick oven, and it's the crust tastes like it's been aged for a few days, which makes the best crust, and then cooked in like 1,000-degree oven, so it cooks in like 3 minutes.
What is it about the brick in the fire that makes it so good for pizza? Because I know brick oven is a big thing for pizza.
Yeah, when I had my pizza restaurant, we had a brick oven pizza, but it was a standard.
Me and Kellie are like, wait,
Wait, what?
when we had our brick oven pizzeria, me and Kellie are like, when did you have a pizzeria?
Right.
From 2008 to 2011 in Memphis.
We learn something new about Terry like every week, like random facts about Terry.
So
There's
for Friendsgiving, Terry has to make a pizza, a pie. And what was the other thing?
Fried chicken.
No, you still owe us fried chicken and a pie. But now
you can't make, because here's the thing. I've tried. People always ask me that, and people say, "Oh, well, make me a pizza." And it's like, I make pizza at home all the time, but it's not as good because you can't do it right in a standard oven. You have to have an oven that gets to at least 800 degrees.
We're gonna have to find something because
that's interesting.
All righty.
No, it's easier just to buy it from people who have. It's more about seeking out good pizza than it is trying to make it at home.
Would you open up a pizzeria again?
It's a lot of work. I mean, I would do it if I could do it right. If I could do it right, I'd do it again. But I mean, it's a lot of work. I was working like 75 hours a week. You
can do a pizza comedy club.
It's funny you say that.
That would actually be pretty lit.
Right.
Have specialty pizzas, beers, special craft drinks.
That would actually be pretty lit.
The Planned Parenthood plant drink.
I was in Delray last night. I was doing a show in Delray, and there was this old. It was like an ice cream place that just made hot dogs and ice cream and French fries and stuff. And I was like, I'd love to take that place over and just make like a greasy spoon, right in the middle of Delray, which is kind of like a hippie, not hippie, but it's kind of like a hip area for people with some money,
I'm definitely stealing that idea. I'm making a pizza comedy club.
Okay.
Just
Go
run
for
me
it.
my money for
I ain't
the
getting
idea.
shit. No, I'm just kidding.
This is recorded.
No.
I'm doing the editing.
No.
Hey, Kelly, I'll cut this part out. I left everything else in.
We don't put nothing else out. But he gonna
Rudy.
cut out the fact that you.
Hey, it's gonna cut off. All you gonna see Janessa say is, you know what would be a good idea? And he's gonna cut off this stuff. You know what? I'm gonna do it. You're just gonna see me all in this. I watch.
Right. Rudy gonna cut anything else out, honey.
God don't like ugly.
Too much weed for that. He'll eat his
God
own
don't
supply.
like ugly.
They won't have anything left to serve.
That's hilarious. All right, Kelly, what's popping?
Nothing much. Just coming from the gym.
Humble brag.
Usually I get a chance to come in and take a shower and put some gel on my edges and recurl the puff.
Mm-hmm.
Today y'all just getting me a sports bra showing. I did throw on some earrings and some lip gloss. That's all. But like I hear my echo.
Yeah, I'm about to say, Kelly, you echoing.
I am. Hello?
Not no more.
So somebody did something and it stopped.
I thought you just did something.
It's the Lord.
I just touched the screen. But
Hey, I knew I felt something. Hey.
The Lord works in mysterious ways. Okay.
Like I told y'all a few weeks ago,
I hit the shift button on my laptop. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, trying to reach these goals, trying to reach these weight loss goals.
Yeah.
So I'm in the gym 4 to 5 to 6 times a week.
Shout out to you for making some type of progress on the Instagram. You know,
hey,
you
but
know.
let me tell you who didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Who that?
The 3 of y'all.
What did we not do this time?
I need y'all to repost. I need y'all to put it in your story. Janessa got us some additional followers.
I did. Oh,
I looked.
Oh, praise the Lord.
I don't feel like you deserve a repost after just one post, Kelly. I feel like we should.
Rudy of all trades has like 2,000 followers. I'm gonna need you to bring in some extra to our 500 million.
I'm willing to do that, but I'm saying, but they're gonna go and see the same page.
No, they're not.
From 8 months ago with my face.
They're going to see 3 pictures. We'll work on it. I need a meeting with you afterwards to discuss some additional plans. So we have a post a week is my thing. Now, as you notice, the 3 of you guys have pictures. I do not.
Yes, someone asked me about that too.
Somebody didn't do what they're supposed to do, huh?
They were like, "Where's the other girl from the podcast?" Oh, she's the one who does our social media page. So I'm sure it'll be up there.
She doesn't like pictures.
She keeps it low key.
Right. She doesn't like.
What you gonna post the avatar?
I couldn't find 2-3 pictures that I liked. So
she's just gonna be one of those eggs. Remember the eggs?
So Janessa, you got a dub for the both of us. You were the most popular out of the 3 pictures anyway. It kept blowing up.
Nope.
So, but yes.
I mean, I've been said it. Janessa is the heart and soul of this podcast. She's holding us down.
Right. For sure.
She's the glue.
So that's why I need her to repost on her actual page and put in her story. Same thing with Terry Wayne Comedy. Same thing with Rudy of all trades.
And Princess Kels 51.
I'm gonna put all y'all pictures on my Princess Kels 51.
I'm gonna post some, but Kelly, I do need yours because I'm gonna do them all at one swoop.
Okay. Princess Kels 51 need to be unlocked as well.
It's nothing to see on my page.
It does not need to be. You do not need to be. Have to wait on people to be requested and accepted. Let them folk find you. How the man gonna find the wife if he can't find her on Instagram?
He better send a little sweet requested message and request.
You ain't gonna read it.
I do. I open up the little side things. Now I may not accept it, but I open it up.
Lord,
she do some investigating and then make a decision.
Exactly. No, we're working on it. We're working on an open page. But I did, like you said, I did some work this weekend. I was proud of myself.
I'm proud of you, Kelly. You did great.
At the Worst Ones PK. Follow us.
All right. And we don't. And before we give it to Terry, I do want to just acknowledge, Janessa's back in the library. So shout out to that.
Yes. So let me just tell y'all that I am moving in like 2 weeks. So who knows what the backdrop's gonna look like? But
you ain't taking the library with you?
I might, but I don't know if I'm gonna have enough space. I don't know if I'm gonna have a whole office space because I'm in my office right now. But,
it's gonna look like Rudy something different every week.
I always give you a white wall, though. It's just a different one.
Last week, you gave us a side of a building.
It was white, though.
But I think it's good. There'll be different phases to the podcast. And this was the bookshelf phase. So I had to turn the fan off because you can kind of see it. It's moving.
I think it's moving. But I wasn't going to say anything.
When our podcast blows up, we're going to laugh at this. Like, y'all remember when Janessa had that moving bookshelf?
I mean, it's already failed. I think moving at this point, I don't really think, what I'm saying? Like, you might as well just go ahead and not be hot and let it move, No
so, yeah, we back.
Gotcha. Say less. All right, Terry. Go for it, sir.
Oh, well, how have you been?
Oh, yeah. How have you been?
Y'all know.
Same old.
Yeah, I ain't doing shit.
Should pastors step down if they divorce?
Oh, step down. I thought you meant be sat down. Like should there be a board of directors over them? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, they already have one typically, but should they step down?
Right. I got you.
Well, should they step down on their own, not be told or forced by?
That's that can be in it as well. Step down / be released.
So my first question would be, and I don't know if Terry, I'm assuming that you would have the research on this. What does the Bible say about divorce?
It's against it.
Except for one thing.
I was like, I thought.
Just cue it up real quick while Janessa talks, Terry. Just look it up and see what's the scripture on it.
All right.
Yeah. So my understanding was that God doesn't like divorce, but I want to say if the person cheats.
I thought it was adultery too.
Yeah, adultery, you can get a divorce. But from my understanding, that's the only biblical reason for a divorce.
So then what if that's not the case? So then how you feel about it if that's not the case?
What if the pastor is the one that committed the adultery?
Or what if there's no adultery? What if, let's not even go that deep yet. What if there's no adultery? But what if they just get a divorce for whatever other reason? Financial reason, whatever other reason people get a divorce for. What if that happens? Then should they be sat or sit?
That's a good question.
Because they sinning. They bucking.
So my immediate thought is no. It depends on the reason. Like, you get a divorce because you physically assaulted your husband or wife, or you killed them, or some like you drugged them, you gave them antifreeze, something
going to jail,
something like that. Yes, but
episode of Snap.
I think that a part of it makes it like divorce pastors on one level can make them seem more human or relatable to other people in their congregation who might have gone through divorce or something similar like that. Now, the part that I'm not really thought about too deep, because this has been happening heavily in the church community, and like pastors cheating and like getting other women pregnant and bringing new kids into the world.
I have your answer here. It's the Bible allows for divorce in 4 situations: adultery / sexual immorality, physical neglect or abuse, emotional neglect or abuse, or abandonment.
Oh, well, that covers just about everything. Because I can say just about everything is emotionally abusive.
Yeah.
Right. I said that's so vague. I can
The way he puts ketchup on hamburgers, I am disturbed.
The way he doesn't pull
Pull
the
out?
toilet seat down.
Oh.
The way he doesn't pull the toilet
Right.
seat down, he leaves his dirty drawers on the floor. I am emotionally abused. No, I'm with Janessa. I think it depends on on what it is. I think taking it back though, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's for me. All right, let me formulate that thought. Somebody else talk.
I mean, I don't really see how, I guess, what about divorce makes, I guess, the sitting down happen? Like, are we saying that divorce would be the end all be all that would sit them down, or could they also be sat down for, lying on the deacon? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
or
let's put it this way, like 30 some odd years, like 30 years ago, if you were a pastor and you got divorced, that was it. You were done. It would be hard for you to find another place to preach at.
Well, you said that was 30 years ago?
Yeah, right about. Yeah.
Times have definitely changed.
For sure.
I know.
And I definitely know pastors who've been pastoring longer than 30 years who've been divorced for probably around that same time. And they still pastoring.
I think it all depends on what you're getting a divorce for. Like Janessa said, like if it's something that you're going to jail for, then yeah, you probably.
So jail is worse than divorce in this case.
No, I'm just saying if the reason why you're getting a divorce is because you have murdered or abused or
nobody said murder. Why's your head go there?
Janessa did.
I did say that.
I think you were looking for the scripture.
Yeah.
But yes, she gave us a whole episode of Snapped. Antifreeze.
All that.
So yes, for those reasons, I do believe that the pastor should see that his spirit isn't in the right place to be able to minister to a congregation of people, if that is what you are doing to the person that you want to love, you decided to marry, or whatever. If you into I can't remember who just said it, Rudy or Claire, maybe Rudy. In a more general sense, I feel like pastors should do a spirit check, period. And whenever they feel like their spirit isn't in check, to be able to fully minister to their congregation. Now we're not perfect. We all make mistakes. But in those moments when I'm not in line, I'm not aligned with the Lord, then you need to sit down. Be it temporarily, be it this isn't for me anymore, whatever. You need to sit down. I would say divorce in general, no, I don't think that should be set down, but I think the reason behind it, yes. But I would also, I guess my thought earlier was thinking just back to the marriage in the first place and them getting married in the first place. And where, and I guess where did God fit into bringing him or her and their husband and wife together, and how God was the center and the head of their relationship and kind of where things fell apart. I would love some transparency from my pastor about that as it relates to divorce, because I think that's a big part in Christianity. When you're getting married, and while you're married is, God at the center of your relationship, keeping God first. And so me as a single person, I want to know, well, what happened? I think that would be important for me, for my pastor to be transparent, and he doesn't have to say, my wife cheated on me or my husband cheated, you know what I'm saying? But just sort of transparency of where they didn't allow, or where God wasn't present in their relationship, or they try to do things on their own or whatever. I think that would be important to me to hear from my pastor going through a divorce.
I don't know if you answered this already or not, but would you, with that transparency, would you expect him to be sat down though, or for him to step down?
I guess it just depends on I think it just depends on what happened, why that, just because he got a divorce, no, or he or she got a divorce, no. I wouldn't expect them to sit themselves down or for them to be sat down by the church. But like I said, but if the reason is something crazy, or they know that their spirit isn't aligned with the Lord, then yes, I think they need to sit themselves down.
Would it hinder your, just say your receptiveness to go to he or she for just say marital or relationship advice henceforth? Like, would you like not want to be counseled by them? Like, if you were going to get, or even not even let them marry y'all, as far as like, proceed over the ceremony, like because of that?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to discuss, is how can you go to your pastor? Because a lot of couples in the church will go to the pastor for relationship advice.
Right.
How do you do that when they're divorced themselves?
Right. I think that's a good question.
No, I was going to say, I think for the pastor, because I know my parents or my dad does couples counseling. But I also know churches where the pastor is not the person who does the counseling. Maybe it's another minister or person on their staff. But I would say if the pastor is in that role where he does a lot of counseling, I would hope the pastor would take a step back, not because of the divorce, but so that he can heal, or he or she can heal and get themselves in a better place. Because I think I've never been married or divorced, but I can only imagine that it would be, if you just got divorced on Monday, to have a couple session on Wednesday and your own personal life not somehow, some way seep into that session. Right. So for the sake of everybody, I think, they should take the right steps personally to heal themselves before they try to jump back in that lane. Doesn't mean that they can't ever come back in that lane, but maybe this isn't the time right now.
Yeah, I kind of figured that's what you would say. What about the old adage, those who can't do, teach?
The who?
Those who can't do, teach.
Well, I was going to even say, I still think that's even situational, because like, if, let's just say, like, if I'm a pastor and I got a divorce because my wife cheated on me, right? I may then give somebody wrong counseling and be like, hey man, hey, don't trust that woman. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to blah, blah, blah. Now, yes, to your point, Terry, maybe just say like, I failed at my marriage, no infidelity, nothing, but just whatever. Like, just as a man, I didn't know how to love this woman correctly. I didn't know how to, whatever the case may be. I can, if I then step back and learn from that, I do think that person can definitely teach, but he or she has to be in that mindset of, oh, okay, this is what I did wrong. Even if the other person did something wrong, this is what they did wrong, but having some level of ownership. A lot of people in life just don't take ownership for anything. You always think about what somebody else did to you, but you never consider what you did, you know what I'm saying, the failure of it. So that person would have to be really, really mature in that space, which I don't know if just because you're a pastor, that would make you that mature in that space. If you get hurt in a relationship, like, you're still a human being, pastor or not, you know what I'm saying? It's going to hurt. It's going to suck. Whether you cause it to end or somebody else calls it in. Like, if you go through a divorce on a smaller level because you're an unknown pastor, or if it's a major level because everybody knows you, I feel like it's going to, suck either way.
No, I agree. I think that right, until that pastor is able to, as Janessa said, heal and separate the two and really move on, then they should probably, and maybe not even step down completely from the church, but from the pulpit, but they may need to get an associate pastor to do the relationship counseling, the couples counseling, to preside over the marriages until they get into a place of healing. Because like you said, I think it's, pastors are human. So like you were saying, Rudy, is at some level is going to be hard, and Janessa, is going to be hard to separate what the Spirit is telling me, the Holy Spirit is telling me, and what my spirit is telling me.
And all your homies who dogging her out too,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Or
Right. It's a whole process. The embarrassment, the pride, the shame, the guilt, whatever it is that you feel like, especially if you got a man who, woman cheated on him, because we know that women can do things and men can do things, and women take it and we forgive and we keep going and we're loyal and all of those good things. We're patient and understanding and caring. And then women do one little thing to men and they just done. Can't take it.
Over with. Yeah. Yeah.
And
who hurt you, Kelly?
Huh? You said who hurt me? I know, right? But it was really a joke, but it's the truth. But I think I definitely feel like, a pastor that is years removed from the divorce, in a new relationship, has taken accountability and responsibility for their part, the other person's part. I definitely feel like they can be an asset to relationship couple counseling. In the midst of it, I think it's difficult. And right. I wonder how many pastors in that situation really take that time to separate themselves, or if they out here giving bad advice. And church members, we hang on our pastor's words. Like, we love us, some bishop such and such, pastor such and such, minister such and such, whatever it is that they say, we holding on to it and we doing it 10 times over, good, bad, and different. And so, like I said, I would just hope that the pastors have the maturity to be able to know when they need to be sat down.
let me ask you a question. Would you rather take marriage counseling from a pastor who has been divorced for whatever reason, or for a pastor who's never been married?
So counseling, I would probably want someone who's still married, but I would definitely.
That wasn't one of the options.
Right. Either a pastor who has been divorced or a pastor who has never been married.
Oh, I thought you said who was married.
No.
I would do divorce. Not saying that someone who's never been married cannot. And
I'm not saying, and sorry to cut you off, but I'm not saying the never been married person has to be young. This could be an older person.
Yeah.
Never been married.
I'm not saying that they cannot, add value or give great input to a situation, but I think the person who has been divorced can help you navigate challenges maybe they have had, things they might have done differently, maybe things they wish they would have known, where you might not be able to get that from someone who's never been in that situation. That's just me.
But what about what if it's like a pastor who's had 30 years or something like that of marital counseling, because people just always just been coming to he or she with their problems, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, you come to them and they got some good advice because this is what they do. Like
I said, I'm not rejecting their input, but that's not a person I probably would seek out initially when I'm looking for someone to counseling.
I want the divorce pastor. I want him or her. I want the divorce pastor because that's just more life knowledge.
Even at the expense of them possibly being battered and giving you that hurt advice. As
like Janessa said, I would like to think they wouldn't be counseling somebody if they were still wrestling with something. But if they were married for 10 years and they've been divorced for 2, that seems like somebody who's got some wisdom.
I understand that on paper, but what I'm saying is I ain't never smoked crack. That don't mean I couldn't advise somebody who has. You feel what I'm saying? And help. And just imagine if I found a tactic to deal with people who do drugs and I've never done drugs before. You know what I'm saying? Yes, somebody who has done drugs before can connect to them in a different way, but that doesn't necessarily cancel out the person who's never done drugs and say, well, you can't, counsel somebody who's on drugs because you just may study addicts. You may, you know what I'm saying? So I'm saying somebody who may never be married, but if I'm a pastor and I deal with married people all the time, they always come to me, well, pastor so-and-so, and he's constantly giving advice. That may give him a lot of knowledge on, not necessarily to say in first person, this is what I dealt with in my marriage, but just like all these doctors who they don't necessarily have every disease they've ever treated. You feel what I'm saying? They deal with it.
I don't think that tracks, man.
But no, what I'm saying is, if you study something enough, I'm not saying that it qualifies them more than the person who has been married. What I'm saying is, but it doesn't cancel them out to get the advice from them just because they have not been, is what I'm saying.
But I guess the question was
been married. I'm not listening.
Yeah, I would say I don't think anybody.
No. I'm not telling y'all. I'm not saying this to knock y'all preference. I'm just saying in general, like it can seem one-sided because because to Terry's point, he's saying like he's harping on like the whole experience factor. Like the reason why I would prefer this is because of the experience and I'm just making the point that even with the lack of the experience, that other pastor can still have a pretty good way of counseling people with marriage if that's something that he kind of deals with, or counseling people who goes to jail if that's something that they deal with, even if they've never necessarily been there.
Well, yeah, and like you said with some of the examples, like I get what you're trying to say, but studying disease and studying marriage is two different things. Like I think as somebody who's been married and divorced before, the marriage you really don't know until you're in it. Like even if you think you know, you don't know till you're there.
So what's your take on marriage now? Since now that you've been married and divorced.
I think it's good as long as you're in it for the right reasons. I think that before you get married, you need to remember what kind of commitment it is, and you have to put the work in, even when you don't want to. Like that's the main thing is. I think that relationships fall apart because women get complacent and men stop trying. That's what I think. I think men stop trying and women get too comfortable. Those are along gender lines, that's where people make big mistakes.
And this is based off of your experience or marriages in general?
Just my life experience versus watching others, that kind of thing. Because, after a while, you just, you stop trying. And that's usually where you start running into problems. Like, for instance,
I know a couple where that was the case. Because I was trying to think about the couples that I know that did get divorced. And I do know one immediately popped in my mind where the wife kind of let herself go, and the husband just kind of was like tired of
let herself go. What, like physically?
Like just wasn't. You know how the saying like you gotta do the work to get her, and then you gotta do the work to keep her. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that in reverse though. Like she wasn't kind of. I guess what they agreed upon or talked about or the expectation she wasn't meeting, and she just kind of.
I got him now. So I can.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna do the laundry. If I cook, I'm just gonna cook something for me, not for you.
Oh, that's terrible.
That is terrible.
If you cook something, if we're both home and you cook something, you're like, no, this is for me. I'm like, all right, why don't you eat it in the street then?
Yeah, that's pretty.
I live too, right?
That's brutal.
That is rude.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I'm saying, so that pastor. I mean, does he give from if he's still in the hurt place? Like, is he in a position to just say to give advice on marriage? Because that's not necessarily like infidelity. That's not nobody dying. That's not nothing dramatic. That's just literally. I mean, I feel like that's almost a quick turnaround lesson. She did, you know what I'm saying? The things that where we started, there was no continuity in it. Like there was no continuation. I feel like that's a quick lesson to learn to turn around and tell somebody, even from a hurt place. You know what I'm saying? Like I think go ahead.
But I think it's different in you're providing thoughts, reflections to a friend, about marriage, and you counseling me. So even outside of marriage, like we've talked about, I see a therapist, and I just recently had to switch therapists because my therapist doing something. Anywho, but I went and did the research, and so one of my big things is anxiety. I went and did the research on, who is kind of, and this may be to your point, Rudy, who is kind of competent in anxiety. Now she may or may not deal with it herself. I I don't know, but I'm definitely looking for someone who is competent in that space. But I think that there's a difference between me going to Janessa and saying, "Hey, Janessa, I really struggled with my anxiety today," and she just gives me, something because she deals with anxiety too. Oh, I just take 5 deep breaths or whatever, and someone counseling me, And so if that pastor going through divorce is, just giving his homeboy advice, like, man, however, whatever you did to keep her, make sure you continue to do that, or hey, make sure that you stay on your wife or whatever about the agreements that you guys made as it relates to, finances, household chores, physical bodies, or whatever, because that's what happened in my marriage. That's a different conversation than you are counseling me and my man.
Right.
Me and my man into this lifelong relationship, because I think most people, all people, get married to be married forever. No one wants to get a divorce. And so for me, again, I don't mind, once they're healed, someone who's been divorced to give me counseling. But in the midst of it, like I said, they got to be healing first. And then to your point about someone who's never been married but is just competent in the area, they probably wouldn't be my preference. Like Janessa said earlier, my preference would probably be someone that is married now. One thing I enjoy about my parents, and I may have said this before, but sometimes they'll do it together. Yeah. And like I told y'all, my mom and dad are like night and day. And so with my dad, they get this real spiritual peace. With my mom, they get this real peace. And really, let's get into the depths of kind of what goes on in a marriage. Because their marriage isn't always pretty and perfect and rainbows and butterflies and whatever, so that would definitely be my preference. And I've heard from a lot of married people and divorced people, like Terry said, you have no idea what you're getting into until you're in it. You have no idea what marriage is really what marriage is really about until you're there. And so I can see where it's difficult for for someone who hasn't been married to do that relationship counseling. But I also want to say this. Now, how many pastors do you guys know that aren't married? I feel like that's like an unspoken requirement.
I mean, my dad wasn't for a while. My dad has been married the lesser amount of the years he's been a pastor.
Okay. I feel like most pastors that I know are married.
Bishop Moore not married.
True.
Yeah, that is true.
Very true.
I ain't been married for a long time. He ain't been married my whole life.
Right. But I will say his ex-wife was still involved in the church or around, and even to this day, she's still there. Kind of, sort of.
I've seen her sparingly. I've only known the Bishop more than the kids. I've seen her before, but I ain't never seen, like, if she seen me right now, she wouldn't know who I was. Like, yeah, and I grew up, so yeah, no, but I mean, yeah, I do think everything is situational. I was going to ask another question, but go ahead, Janessa. I had a question.
Oh no, I was just trying to think off the top of my head. I know 3 pastors, who aren't married. One's a younger guy who's like close to our age, but then the other 2 was what you were saying, Rudy, was Bishop Morton and Bishop James Morton and Bishop what's the pastor at Newburgh? Jamal Bryant.
Jamal Bryant.
He's not married,
but now his business out on the TV show. Yes. I don't know, watch it, but
yes, girl.
One of those
was out before the TV show. I mean,
true.
Yeah.
But yeah, isn't it all on the Housewives?
Yeah, those are the ones. I'm sure there are more, but those are just the ones who are off the top of my head.
And there's a beautiful point to, I don't know whose point or to the question though, but Jamal Bryant, his ex-wife is on one of those Real Housewives, and apparently all of their business is out on the show. And New Birth is one of, and I don't know if it's still, has one of the biggest congregations in Atlanta. And so in terms of being set down, in terms of I don't know if he's healed, but the drama definitely continues to follow him. He has one of the biggest churches in Metro Atlanta. Right, wrong, indifferent. Definitely still has it.
So I guess going back to the actual question, I guess we everybody kind of stated their preference on who they would want the counsel from, but like, do you think that? And I guess because I mean, to me, I don't know if divorce is like the end all be all for me when it comes down to any type of, I guess, punishment or something that should be happening. Because for me, I think even going to the whole, Jamal Bryant or whoever else, like, even though he got a divorce as well, but even like cheating, I mean, it's pastors who cheat on their wife, they stayed married, but because they didn't get divorced, does that mean they should not be sat down? You know what I'm saying? Like, right. You know what I'm saying? Like divorce may be, we waiting too late for it because some people may not get a divorce. You know what I'm saying? Especially if, the wife is kind of, I don't know, whatever. So, but going back to the actual question at hand, do you think that divorce is, I guess, a heavy enough, sin, if you will, against what the word of God says us to do? And if they get divorced for any of the reasons that are not allowed, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be, I guess, would it bother you per se, but like, is that a heavy enough, I guess, thing to be like, yeah, so they should sit down for that?
To me, I feel like the pastor, and I forgot who said this at the beginning of the podcast, but the pastor who is cheating and having babies with the choir members and the usher board and all of that, now he need to sit down. Whether his wife
need to leave the church.
Whether his wife,
that's flat out sin though. Like, but that's a whole nother conversation because
that's a lot of sins.
One sin is not greater than the other. So
he got multiple sins.
Yeah, but we always qualify sins. So, like, say a pastor cheats on his taxes, should he step down on that?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a sin too.
He gets a DUI.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He breaks the laws of man. Or
is it like, I'm an educator, so I see things in suspensions, and so this, we've been back in school a week and a half now, and I think we've had more marijuana related offenses than anything else.
Leave them kids alone.
I walk down the hallways like, do you know you stink?
They don't, because they're high.
Like, you're gonna get caught because you freak. Like, and then they want to be in groups of like 6 or 7. It's too many of y'all smelling like y'all leaving a trail down the hallway. Y'all gonna get caught.
y'all don't know how to do this right.
I'm like, somebody teach them the little spray.
Take your shirt off when you smoke.
Something, honey. What do you hold it in so you can't smell it? Is there a container that you put? Like, what's the issue? But yes,
alcohol on your fingers.
Something. Because in this first week and a half, we have had more marijuana related offenses than anything else. These kids are coming back from COVID in the building high.
High.
But but
you sound like you're high.
Nope, I don't get high.
Thanks, nerd. Right.
That is killing me.
Weed is for losers.
Right. Don't do drugs, give hugs. Really, stop.
Nancy Reagan, everybody.
You can tell she working the school, all them little slogans on the wall. My God.
But I feel like, like I said, in school, they get, 3 days suspension for, this amount of weed and the drug paraphernalia. Somebody had a roach the other day. What's a roach?
It's like
last little end piece.
The administrator didn't know what it was. He told him to take a picture. He was like, "What's that?" He's like, "That's a roach." And I was like, I just walked past like a roach.
Yeah.
Going on?
Yeah.
But But they got suspended for, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, whatever. It happens multiple times. Then, it goes to 10 days. And then you go to tribunal and you got to stand in front of a judge and, you get expelled or whatever. And I don't know if pastors should have some type of, hey, this happens, we need, you got a DUI, you're a big pastor, and so it was in the news, you may need to sit down for 30 days.
Right.
I don't know if they should have, suspensions or, those type of things for their sins. But on one end, we all sin and fall short of the glory of God. Pastors are human. They make mistakes. So I don't know. It's a hard one. But we also know that pastors, I'm sorry, I'm saying this real quick, but we also know that pastors are held to a higher standard than everyone else. The expectation that they are morally and ethically sound is a bit higher than most people. So I don't know. Maybe they need to have some insight.
Does their position get diluted, or does the respect get diluted because they fall while being held to that higher standard?
Honest answer, I say it does.
Can you repeat the question again?
Basically, because she's saying they're like pastors, they are human, but they're held to a higher standard. So if they make a human mistake, being held to that higher standard, does that dilute their image or their powerness or their calling, if you will, or their respect, from the, I guess in the world or whatever? Like, is all of that diminished once the human side of that higher held pastor is now exposed?
I think it might, depending on the offense, it might temporarily reduce, and it might over time, that level go back to where it was. I think part of it, I can't talk today, y'all. It just depends on what happens afterwards. Are you still walking around acting like, nothing happened, or you still out here talking to other women, or, or are you really working on being a better person, on being the pastor that, you need to be or have been called to be? I think if, you put in the work and, your improvement is reflected in your everyday life, then people may be drawn back to your ministry or whatever. But there are also people who, you may lose.
Because I think it's a trust thing, like you have in all relationships, friendships. Something happens and I lose some of that trust. And so like Janessa was saying, people, I may step back a little bit and say, Pastor Lee, Uncle Kerwin, Pastor Williams wasn't the man that I thought he was.
Right.
And then, the congregation, the people, the church may have to go through their own processes and remembering that he's human too. And if, like Janessa says, we see that Pastor Williams is really trying to change and do something different and live his life differently and understands his mistakes, then we may be drawn back. But I think for most people, I don't know, because I feel like I've seen a lot of, and I know, because I know the scrutiny that I get. I can only imagine the scrutiny my father gets. That there's definitely people that every little thing a pastor does, every little sin that they do, is a big deal, is a reason to judge, is a reason to distrust, is a reason to leave, is a reason. Like, I do know some church members like that for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely some of those. I think you kind of hit it on the head there, Kelly, with because it's like the congregation looks to the pastor as like a beacon. So when they get proven human, it's like, oh, well, you're like me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, and they don't want to see that. A lot of people don't want to see that. And I think they get hurt. I think they get personally hurt. But just going back to the acceptable reasons for divorce: adultery, physical neglect or abuse, emotional neglect or abuse, or abandonment. I got a question for number 2 here, because you said anything can be emotional abuse.
I was being dramatic, but a lot of things can't fall under
Well, what
that.
about number 2, where it says physical neglect or abuse? Well, could that be interpreted as saying, like, if a wife stops sleeping with her husband, is that physical neglect?
No, it means if she stops feeding him.
Feeding him? You're a grown man.
As a grown man, he can feed himself.
Need sex.
Right. He a grown man, he can have sex with himself. They both look like.
That is why they're divorced.
Look, you need food. You don't need sex.
Rudy, you want to help me here?
They both look like. That's why.
No.
No, she just didn't finish the sentence. You don't need sex every hour.
No.
That was the rest of that. She just didn't finish. Just every hour.
No, the Bible don't say nowhere that you need sex. It says man cannot live on food and bread alone, but it didn't say nothing about no sex.
Well, what do you think they were talking about?
Food, bread, and sex.
I think it is a physical. I think it is a physical requirement for men.
Physical neglect.
It also said that it was didn't Genesis.
Like
It's not good that man should be alone.
That's right.
Maybe that's it.
Companionship. Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Companionship.
As in, my penis needs a companion.
Oh gosh.
Worship.
Hey, all right. Well, this has been the worst ones.
Worship.
Kelly, take it away.
Worship.
But physical neglect sounds like abandonment.
No,
Like I have left and I'm not coming back.
Which could be sexual as well.
No,
I'm saying, because if you're left, we ain't having sex.
Oh my gracious.
hey, they don't have to leave for that to happen. You can live in the same house with somebody.
But I'm saying, but if she leaves, I'm saying that's also
definitely not
sexual
having
neglect.
But yes, no, physical neglect sounds like right. I just moved to California, left my man in Atlanta.
But is that actual scripture?
Abandonment.
Is that actual scripture, Terry? Or you just read that from the list?
No, it's scripture. It lists them all. Everything. Exodus, Deuteronomy, Matthew, Mark, Corinthians.
Good gracious.
Ephesians, Timothy.
Okay.
That's a big thing.
Let's see. So it's physical neglect, abuse, emotional abuse, adultery. What's the fourth one?
An abandonment.
Oh, so they don't use abandonment as physical neglect. Okay.
No. Abandonment in those days would be like if he just went off to fight a war and never came back.
Gotcha.
You don't know if they're dead, but.
So you're interpreting physical neglect as sex. I don't know about that one.
No, I'm saying physical neglect or abuse. So. Physical
abuse is he hit me.
Yeah, I think that one's pretty clear.
All right. He hit me.
Physical abuse is a man having to abuse himself too many times because of the neglect.
Yeah. You neglected me. Now I'm abusing myself.
Oh my gosh.
All right, go for it, Kelly. Church announcements.
So, I lost my train of thought. So, the worst ones, PK. Follow us on Instagram. The host here will be on their personal pages, hyping the worst ones, PK. So make sure that you follow. Make sure that you tell your friends to follow. Make sure that you comment on the pictures. Make sure that you like them. Make sure that you interact and engage with us. We enjoy that. DM us, all of that good stuff. And then if you want to watch us, YouTube, listen to us, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, most places where podcasts are heard. For those, the Worst Ones podcast. Of course, when you get there, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. We appreciate all 500 million of you. We are trying to get to 1 billion.
Hey.
So help us out. My person.
Keep going. One more thing.
Instagram page. So I thought the purpose of me doing the church announcements is so that I didn't have to do this. I thought that was the purpose of all of this.
But how are people going to see what you share on your personal page? You just said the host of this podcast are going to share on our personal page. How you going to share your personal pages?
You specifically told them to get in our DMs, and you left yourself out.
Princess Kels 51. It is private, but send me a message and I'll add you.
She will completely ignore you.
I won't. I won't. Ask the others.
Oh. Sorry, I thought Kelly was still going. Y'all can find me at Melanated Brews for all things coffee, tea, and beer. I did not go anyplace this week. I went to Starbucks. So I do drink coffee every day pretty much, but I don't always go to a new spot. But that'll be back on the agenda. Life got busy. And you can find me on my personal page at JRihanna _. I'm pretty sure my page is open. But yeah, that's it.
Hey, shout out to the Ghetto Garden.
Oh yeah, and the Ghetto Garden.
You can follow me on Instagram at PrincessKels51. Feel free to DM me anytime, day or night. And you can follow me at Terry Wayne Comedy on all social media platforms for upcoming show dates and arguments over politics.
There you go. Lastly, the podcast official page on all social media platforms as well as podcast platforms. Type in the whole thing, motherfuckers. All right, the podcast official page. Type in just the podcast. Just type in just the podcast, or you won't find it. If you want to join us live on Zoom, it's the last Monday of each month, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We allow the conversation to be had by you and not by me. All right, the next topic, I can go ahead and release it now because by the time this comes out, it'll be out. It is the fragile male ego.
Ooh.
Because y'all is fragile.
That's what we're talking about next. So that's at the podcast official page. I also want to shout out to this podcast because of my dedication and being in the rain last week. I had to buy a whole keyboard.
Oh no! And I wouldn't let you leave because I just said
keyboard does not work on my actual laptop, but the laptop works, and there's the blessing in that. Praise the Lord, saints.
I feel bad. I'm so sorry.
Buy another laptop if you feel that bad.
No.
Okay then.
Just a little bad, not a lot of bad.
Fake sympathy. So
that's real sympathy.
Anyways. All right.
And next week's topic, by the way, is going to be idolatry. Is star worship the idolatry for the modern age?
What the fuck is star worship?
Say it again.
I got you, Terry.
Idolatry.
You mean like superstars?
Celebrities. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant
is celebrity worship the new
I got you, Terry. I got you, Terry.
Thank you.
I'm like, star worship? What the hell? Okay.
Yeah, celebrity worship.
Gotcha. I'm tracking. Okay. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Is Kanye a golden calf? Basically.
His name Jesus. All right. That's all, folks.
I just saw Space Jam. I'm sorry. When you said that's all, folks, that just reminded me of Green Tunes. And I just saw Space Jam too.
It's a terrible fucking movie.
It turned out to be cute.
It was terrible.
It turned out to be cute at the end.
All right. I like the cameos.
I don't understand why people feel like the first one was supposed to win an Oscar or something. Like
no,
the first one sucked too.
I mean, like,
trash too.
Like, what are we talking about?
It was passable.
It's an NBA superstar with cartoon characters, guys. Like,
it's a garbage movie.
I thought it was garbage in the beginning, but it turned out to be cute.
I thought the graphics in the second one were phenomenal. I thought that it was really aesthetically pleasing to look at. But I mean, it was a Space Jam. It was cool. I mean, I wasn't judging it that hard. Anyways, all right, we the worst ones. Thank you guys for listening to us. We appreciate you guys for or watching, whatever it is. Keep liking, subscribing, and commenting, like Kelly said. And until next time, we out there. Hold.
Play my music.
Your language today.
Top of the world.